Is it just me, or has this season been really hard to get in the swing of? I mean, we've just come off the back of our second international break of the season, and spoiler alert, we've got another one coming up in just 4 game weeks' time in the Premier League. So it's been a chance for those teams who are out of form to rediscover form, but maybe a little bit more challenge for those teams in form to sustain their forms. And in particular, a guy called Andy Cooper within our Opta analyst team, because, well, last weekend he went 3 for 3 on his picks and he stormed to the top of the table, overtaking you in the community, our supercomputer, and the perennial season leader in Matt Furness. But it's not looking so good for Ollie and John at the bottom. They need to pick up some results. But remember, and this is important, we aren't even a quarter of the way through the Premier League season yet, so plenty of time to make it up. Right then, on to this weekend's fixtures in Game Week 8. And of course, we're going to start with a somewhat surprising 3 p.m. traditional Saturday kickoff as Leicester City welcome Manchester United. And well, United, of course, are trying to continue that incredible unbeaten record that they now hold of 30 away games without defeat. And maybe Leicester are the perfect opponent for them this weekend. You see, they have lost just 1 of their 15 games against Leicester in the Premier League. That's coming under Louis van Gaal all the way back in September of 2014. But you must bear this in mind. They did lose 3-1 at the King Power Stadium last season in the FA Cup. Leicester were also victorious in the league at Old Trafford, but haven't enjoyed 3 consecutive victories over the Red Devils since November of 1901. And our win probability model doesn't see that run being matched here, making United the favourites with a 39.8% chance of success, although the Foxes aren't far behind, being given a 32.2% chance of winning. Now, I'm sure that Brendan Rodgers isn't worried about what I'm about to say, but the Foxes are winless in their last 4 in the Premier League, drawing 2 and losing 2. And the last time they went on a longer winless run, well, it was actually the final 6 games of Claude Puel's reign at the King Power Stadium. That all the way back in February of 2019, when a certain Brendan Rodgers then took over at the helm. And Puel, to be fair, he drew 1 and lost 5. So I know that Rodgers probably isn't thinking about this, but the omens don't add up. Especially if the result goes the way that you believe it will in the community, because you are following the supercomputer and are backing a United victory as well. And it's easy to see why. In Bruno Fernandes, they have the player who's created the most overall chances in the league this season with 23. In Luke Shaw, they've got the player who's created the most chances from set plays with 11. And of course, the player with the most assists in the Premier League so far this season, that's right, Paul Pogba with 7. Right, I've got no guest to help me out on the hat-trick this week. It's a very busy week for us all on the Analyst, and I hope you've enjoyed all the great content that we have been putting out. So as a result, it's up to me to sort of fill the gap today, and I'm going to talk about 2 of the veterans in this game, shall we call them. Because somewhat surprisingly, and if you think about the timelines of Premier League history, Cristiano Ronaldo has actually played against Leicester City just once, that coming all the way back in 2004. He's actually yet to score against the Foxes. United did win in that game, but the goal scorer, I don't think any of you would have ever guessed. It was Gary Neville, of all players. So, if Ronaldo does find the back of the net in this one, it will be the 120th different club side that he has found the net against. Incredible career that he's had. And another guy who's had an incredible career, but not so much outside of these shores, is Jamie Vardy. Now, he is on an incredible run of form himself. He has scored in his last 3 Premier League appearances. And there has only ever been one player in the history of the Premier League who has been older than him if he is able to score in a 4th consecutive game in this one. Now, I know you're all rattling your brains. Who might that be? You know, there's sort of great elderly veteran players. I don't think many of you will be thinking back to 2001 and Gary McAllister when he did so for Liverpool. So to us contributors and what we think then every result is on the table here. Matt and Duncan both backing the Foxes to come out on top. I'm beginning to write my apology letter to my former youth coach. I do think that Leicester will get something from this game, but just the point. And I'm joined by Kev in that belief, while the rest of the pack are following you and the supercomputer in plumping for United win. Now, that isn't the only Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff that we're going to look forward to this week, as we're taking a trip down to St Mary's, where Southampton, the winless Southampton, will be hoping their run of form comes to a close against Leeds United. Because if they fail to win in this game, well, that's 8 games without a victory in the Premier League this season, and only once in their entire history have they started a league campaign without a win in their first 8 games. And that came all the way back in the 1998-1999 season. They were in the Premier League and they survived relegation on the very last day of the campaign. The thing is, if they are to be successful in this game, they'll have to do it without James Ward-Prowse, who misses out through suspension here, ending a run of 102 consecutive Premier League appearances dating all the way back to December 27th, 2018. And maybe our win probability model is taking into account the influence he has on the Saints here, as it is making Leeds the favourites to take the victory with a 40.9% chance of doing so. But in fact, we really shouldn't be surprised about that outcome. You see, Leeds have beaten Southampton more than any other team in their Premier League history with 14. And don't be surprised if all the goals come in the second half. You see, 31 of their 35 strikes against Southampton in the Premier League have come in the final 45 minutes, including each of the last 13 in a row. For the second time this week, though, you in the Opta analyst community have gone the same way as our supercomputer, backing Leeds to be victorious with 44.7% of the vote. And don't be surprised if Rafinha is at the heart of any success they do gain, having more shots with 24, creating more chances with 14, attempting more dribbles with 37, and making more off-the-ball runs with 223. That's all more than any other Leeds player in the Premier League this season. So everything is pointing towards a Leeds victory, right? Well, not so fast. There's a few little stats that might make you rethink where this game will go. You see, they have faced more shots with 117 and faced more shots on target with 43 than any other side this season. And they have also got the third highest XG against total in the competition so far at 12.4. So, there's a really good chance in this game that Southampton are going to get some chances. It's just whether the Saints take them. And do you know what? I believe I'm going to put my neck on the line here. I'm rolling the dice. I'm going all in. I'm backing the Saints to be victorious. Surely nobody has gone that way amongst the analyst contributors. Oh, it's Ollie. Is it too late to change my choice? No, I'm sticking with it. Duncan and Johnny also showing a bit of bravery in going for the draw, whilst the rest of the pack seem to want to follow the data and the history and back a Leeds win. Boring, right? As ever here on the Analyst Hat-Trick, we leave no Premier League game without our supercomputer's thoughts and feelings, as well as those interesting insights that you're always after. And I know I've said this a lot about Brentford games this season, but the clash against Chelsea in the Saturday tea time kickoff is the first time the two sides will have met in the league since March of 1947. However, the Bees have already drawn with Crystal Palace and beaten both Arsenal and West Ham this season, making them the first team in Premier League history to remain unbeaten in each of their first 3 London derby matches in the competition. However, our supercomputer doesn't see that run continuing here, making Chelsea favourites to be victorious along with Brighton, Manchester City and Villa. Our focus for the third and final game of the weekend turns to Goodison Park, where Everton are rubbing their hands together with glee at the sight of West Ham United coming to take them on. You see, the Toffees have won more games at 27 and scored more goals at 187 against West Ham than they have against any other side in the competition. And our win probability model believes that will become lucky number 28 this weekend. Is 28 a lucky number? Who knows? We're going with it, as Everton have been given a 38% chance of victory, although Hammer's hopes aren't far off at 33.2%. And why not? West Ham have won 2 of their last 3 trips to Goodison Park, as many as they had done in their previous 21. And if they are victorious, it will be the first time they've won consecutive away league games against the Toffees since March of 1930. A victory for Everton, though, will see them match the feat they last did in the 1977-78 season, where they will have won their first 4 home league games of the season. And Everton fans can't get too downhearted this season if their team falls behind. They have gained 7 points from losing positions so far in the Premier League this season, more than any other side coming into this weekend's fixtures. This was a fun one to watch play out in the community vote, but in the end, you are backing Everton to be victorious. Only just though, with 0.4% of the vote separating them from the draw. It was mighty close, and any hope of success for Everton this Sunday might rest upon the shoulders of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You see, he has scored 5 goals in his 4 games against the Hammers in his career, and it's actually only them and Newcastle which he has scored 5 goals against in his career, the most of any other side. And that is why, when we look at the analyst contributors, I would be doubling up my chances here if I could. I'd put down for an Everton win and DCL to find the back of the net. Instead, well, I'll just back the Toffees, and I find myself in some real esteemed company along with Johnny and, oh no, not Ollie again. Prepare myself not to be picking up any points this weekend. Prepare myself not to be picking up any points this weekend. Prepare myself not to be picking up any points this weekend. Everyone else, though, is plumping for the draw with nobody backing the Hammers to be victorious. Please don't send me your angry comments, West Ham fans, when the game is over. Please don't. So just 2 more games to wheel out our win probability model for now, and it's the first game following the takeover at Newcastle. But still, our model isn't backing them to enjoy success, with Tottenham being given a 48.3% chance of success at St James's Park, whilst Arsenal look set to round off the weekend with victory over Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace, if our model is to be believed. Well, welcome back, the Premier League, open arms, big hug, lovely to see you all again. Thank you very much as ever for tuning in to us here on the Analyst Hat-Trick. Also to all of you who vote on our Twitter account as well, at OptaAnalyst. On there you'll find all sorts of great insights throughout the weekend. And of course, make sure you do visit theanalyst.com as well. There is a wealth of great content on the home of data-driven storytelling. But for now, I've been Graham Bell, and until next week, goodbye.